Hey guys, I'm going to do a video right now about, this is mainly for people who are interested in comic books and superhero movies, and what I'm going to do today is explain what the reasoning is behind the creation of comic books and the idea of superheroes at its core. And I'm going to try and open up your eyes to the truth, what it says in the Bible, and how all of this superhero comic book movement is part of the great deception that's coming upon the earth. And we're going to be looking at a lot of Bible scripture, and definitely looking at some video games and Hollywood movies that have come out, and just try and open up your eyes to what's actually going on. A lot of people are, there's some videos on YouTube of a guy talking about how the word gods is thrown around a lot with superheroes and comic book characters. I know a lot of people have watched the Superman versus Goku battle on YouTube. I've watched it. I'm a big fan of Goku and Dragon Ball Z and all that, and I just feel like this is a message that needs to be out there on YouTube, because when you're a born-again Christian, you start to see things in a different light around you, and you start to realize that the things that you think are fairy tale, that there's a deeper meaning behind them, and some evil origins. So I'm going to explain why we see so many superheroes being referred to as gods, because in reality, a god is something completely different than what the superhero world is, that version of a god, because and I'm going to show you the origins of why that is. So I'm going to get your Bible, you're going to want to turn to Genesis 6, and what we're going to talk about is, we're going to talk about something that you've probably never heard, even if you're a Christian. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, though, so I'm sure maybe you've run across some information before. Let's see here. I'm going to read something first. There's a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all argument, and which cannot fail to keep man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is condemnation before investigation. Okay, Jesus' personal message to his disciples, and what they wanted to know before, what would be the signs of his second coming. And he said, "Take heed that no man deceive you. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Most people have no idea what actually happened in Noah's days. They know that the world was sinful and that God flooded the earth, but Satan's plan is to deceive people for the great deception and for his arrival. So he's covered up he's really been good at suppressing some of the information that's in the Bible. And what was actually going on in Noah's day, we're about to get to. And once you start to understand what was actually going on in Noah's days, it will make perfect sense as to everything you've ever been taught about all the Greek mythology and all the myths from around the world. You'll begin to understand that there is some truth to those myths, and that it's not just a fairy tale. And then you'll also be able to tie that into comic book heroes and superheroes and see what was the reasoning behind that. So let's go to Genesis 6 right here. Genesis 6, and it came to pass, when the men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of man, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. the sons of God are always referred to in the Bible as angels. Always. In every single instance in the Bible, the sons of God always means angels. And the daughters of men, that's easy. That's the name Adam even means man. The daughters of men are human women. So right there, we're told that some fallen angels saw that the women on earth were beautiful, and they came down and had sex with women, human women. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, angels are eternal. They don't have any need for marriage or sex because they're eternal. That's right. But the Bible goes on, and clearly God is going to explain that, because he knows that that's going to be one of the reasons people are confused. So he goes on and explains how that actually happened. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see. Hang on just a second. Okay. Let me show you. Jude 6 and 7 in the Bible. Jude 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of that great day. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication, and going after strange flesh, are set forth an example, suffering the vengeance of an eternal fire. The word in Greek, which is talking about how they left their first estate, the word in Greek is oikaterion, and it only appears twice, Jude 6 and 2 Corinthians 5, which says, For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven. So, when we put it all together, the angels that sinned left the bodies they were living in order to participate in sin with women. These things are the things which we as Christians aspire to be. So God is telling us that he's giving us an example of what happened in Jude and 2 Corinthians. These angels that came and had sex with women and lusted after them, they left their heavenly bodies in order to take on human form. So, and he even used an example of Sodom and Gomorrah, which, as we all know, was homosexuals and sodomy. And he says it's an example that they were going after strange flesh. So angels aren't supposed to be doing this. And they, as we all know, when Satan fell from where God is in, I guess it's the third heaven, or whatever dimension that God actually sits, when he was kicked out of heaven, he was kicked down to the lower heavens, which is above earth, and he took a third of the angels with him. So when you look around throughout all history, let me go back a second. If you remember the story of David and Goliath, Goliath was a giant, and he also had 4 brothers. And if you look at all of the myths from around humanity, Hercules, Perseus, Theseus, the star people of Mayan civilizations, the Anunnaki. Okay, I'm going to explain something to you. The Smithsonian, every time someone uncovers some of these giants, and let me go back here for a second. I'm going to explain to you what giants are, because fallen angels and giants are 2 different things. Genesis 6, there were Nephilim in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Now, in some of the Bible translations, instead of the word Nephilim, it's giants. That's not what the word actually means. They do happen to be some of them actually it's translated as giants in some Bibles. That's the same. So this is where we get all the mythology of the demi-gods and then the titans. If you're aware of all the movies that have come out about, the Greek titans and the gods, Zeus and all of those people, and then you have the demi-gods, which are half human and half angel, or half titan, as they say. We have these accounts from all over the world. This is not just Greek mythology. Everybody knows that a demigod, Theseus, Perseus, Hercules is the most famous, or Heracles. Let's see here. So what was really going on back in Noah's days, and I'm going to show you a picture of, if people say that they don't believe giants really existed, I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay, this is just one of the examples. And usually in every single instance when these things are unearthed, the Smithsonian and other institutes come and just take them away. They don't want people to know about this because this is part of the Great Deception. Almost every single one of these instances, they are taken away in secret and never seen again. I'll show you another one. I got plenty of these things. Here's another one. There's another one. These things are gigantic. They're all bigger than normal humans, but they all range in different sizes. Look at this one. I'm sorry, my camera's not the greatest camera in the world. Let's take a look at another one. So all of these giants, these are found all over the world. These have been found on every continent. These are most likely the things that built the pyramids, because we have technology today that can't even duplicate what was necessary for picking up some of those gigantic slabs of rock that are thousands of tons. Let's see here. Here's another one. I can go on and on. I'm sorry, you can't see that, but he's right in here. I'll show you one that's underwater. Where is it? So these things have been found all over the earth. So the Nephilim were the offspring between the human women and the fallen angels, and they have different DNA. So some of them had deformities because it's not God's original creation. They had a lot of deformities. That's where you get the whole Cyclops myths with one eye, and you get different accounts of mythological creatures where they just they're abominations in God's eyes. They are abominations. They are not good creatures, okay? They're pure evil in a lot of cases. And that was another reason why God had to flood the earth. Not just because man was evil, but because Satan was trying to corrupt the seed of man so that Jesus could never have been born. It says in Genesis that all flesh was corrupted except for Noah and his family. They were perfect in his generations. And if you look at that word, it really means genetics. Noah wasn't perfect. Jesus was the only perfect human being without sin. It was talking about Noah was unblemished. That word is let me find the actual word. It means tamim in Hebrew, the word generations, and that means without blemish, sound, without spot, unimpaired. It means genetically Noah wasn't tainted by all of this corruption that was going on with the DNA. So that was one of the main reasons right there why God flooded the earth, is because all flesh was being corrupted, and Satan was trying to corrupt the human seed line so that Jesus couldn't come into existence and he couldn't be born. So we know that the fallen angels came, mated with women, and the offspring were the giants, were men of strength, men of renown, the heroes of old, the demi-gods, if you will, if we're going to use the modern term. So let's look here. This is Perseus. We all know Perseus. If you've seen, I guess, the movies The Wrath of the Titans and The Clash of the Titans, this is the main character. That's Perseus. And then if you watch the movie Immortals, we've got Theseus. So these are all men of renown, the old mythological demigods. They were all Nephilim. They had Nephilim blood. God said that there were Nephilim in the earth in those days of Noah and also after that. So not all of the angels that fell from heaven, we know that there's a third of all angels in heaven that fell with Satan. Not all of them went down and had sex with women. Some of them, I'm sure that Satan knew that God was going to try and destroy his plan. So not all of them came down originally to have sex. Some of them came down after that. And I'm sure even that when the angels fell from heaven, they had bits and pieces of heavenly knowledge. So they weren't stupid. So what they did is they brought man technology. They brought man, where cosmetics come from and witchcraft, that came from the fallen angels. If you go and look up the origins, fallen angels brought cosmetics and beauty products to women because they wanted men to lust after them, and they knew that it made the women look better. Cosmetics, and then they also brought them music, and they brought them technology. So I'm even sure that some of these Nephilim actually escaped through different technology. And if we look here, whoa, what's going on? Sorry, I don't know what happened. Okay, I don't know. Okay, if you can see this. Sorry, my camera's out of focus. These are aircraft on hieroglyphs. There's a helicopter right here. This looks exactly like a helicopter. It's indistinguishable from a helicopter. It looks the exact same. So I'm sure that some of these Nephilim were able to escape the flood, because it says after the flood there were also Nephilim after that. If you remember the tale of David and Goliath, David had 4 brothers, and you also look at the tales of people who actually think that God told some of the men in the Bible to kill whole cities. People are like, well, God's not a God of love. He sent, he sent people to go and slaughter whole cities and villages. Well, if you don't understand what happened in Genesis 6, those were not humans. They were evil giants. That's why it says when they were sent out to spy in the land, that there were Nephilim and there were giants in the earth. I mean, there were giants in the land, and we are as grasshoppers in their sight. They weren't good people. They needed to be killed off. They were pure evil abominations. And a lot of them were cannibals. So what I'm trying to get to here is, I'm trying not to get off track. So we have the Nephilim or demigods. And if you look at ancient civilizations, people worship. This is where a lot of religion comes from. People worshiped the fallen angels like they were gods. They thought they were gods. They didn't understand. They looked to them as if they were literally gods. I'm going to show you a hieroglyph here, if I can find it. These are the Anunnaki. These are the fallen angels. Ancient Samaria and all over the world, people worship these people. In this culture, they worship them and they called them Anunnaki. And in the Mayan civilization, they called them the star people, the people that came from the stars. So a lot of religions worship these as gods, That's why they're all going to hell, because they're worshiping fallen angels. And if you remember the movie Prometheus, this is where the whole ancient astronaut theory comes from, and it's part of the Great final legion of fallen angels, the final 1/3, is going to come during the Great Deception, and they're going to come as aliens. That's why all this alien propaganda is out there. Hollywood has spent billions of dollars on this idea that aliens are real and that they come from different planets. It's a lie from the pit of hell. What it is really just preparing mankind for when these last 1/3 of the angels return to earth, to deceive mankind into thinking that they created us and that they are our gods. That's what the alien deception is about. Okay? So don't be deceived. So we got the Anunnaki, and let me find the star people. Where did I put that? Anyway, it's not important. If you remember the movie Transformers, what was it called? It was called Revenge of the Fallen. Revenge of the Fallen Ones. And if you remember, the fallen Transformers, they looked like they were Egyptian. They were the Egyptian gods. This is all what it's coming down to, and they're foreshadowing what's going to happen on Earth. And what they want to try and do is make people think that there are good Transformers and bad Transformers. When they come, there's going to be good aliens, so-called aliens, and bad aliens. But they're all part of the same evil. It doesn't matter who you believe, the good aliens or the bad aliens, they're all fallen angels, and they're all there to deceive you. If you remember, and here are some of the accounts of some of the different giants that have been discovered, skeletons. Present-day man is 6 feet tall on average. In Turkey, there was a skeleton 15 feet tall, Maximus Thrax, Caesar of Rome, 8'6", Goliath, 10'6", Aga Bashan, 1400 BC, 12 feet tall. Go over here, 1456 AD in France, beside a river in Valence, 23 foot tall. We've got two skeletons found that were 36 feet tall. Look at that, compared to man. I'm even going to show you where Hollywood, see the devil mocks us. He thinks that people are so stupid that he can show them the truth in Hollywood and in movies and in music, and people aren't even going to see that he's telling them the truth about what they're seeing is not actually mythology, but it's the truth, and that they're so dumb that they can't even see it, that he's parading the truth in front of them without them even knowing it. Let's look here. Here it is. This is the Mayan ancient astronauts. This is what it's all boiling down to, people. When these fallen angels return, people are gonna look at them as if they're aliens from another planet. And God warned us about this during the Great Deception. So there's the Mayan star people. They came from the stars. This is King Leonidas. Now that's right, people. You were lied to about the movie 300. King Leonidas, if you look up his origins and everything about him, he was a descendant of Hercules. If you remember in the movie 300, they were a special group of Spartans, a Spartan race that only interbred with each other because they were strong, they were superior in strength and intellect, and they did not interbreed with anybody else. They were very particular about that. And that's why they were able to beat all those, 300 versus the thousands. Normal people can't do that. I don't care how much training you have. They were Nephilim. They were demi-gods. They had Nephilim bloodline. That's why they were superior to all those other people. I didn't make that up. Go look it up. It says he was a descendant of Hercules. And here we have Hercules. Everybody knows he's the most famous one. Everybody knows who Hercules is. I'm trying not to get off track here. Okay, so when the fallen angels are going to return, they are going to offer, along with whether it be the Antichrist or the false prophet, they are going to offer mankind. They're going to say that they created us and that we're their little sign